Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our 2020 BC Lions Town Hall. My name is Matt Baker, and it's a pleasure to be speaking with you this evening as we see some light at the end of the tunnel on what has been, well, a very unprecedented year in history, not only for the Canadian Football League, but in everyday life in general. But yeah, and that's kind of the gist of it. Plenty has changed since we last spoke to you, our great fans, our great season ticket holders, and we thank you all for joining us. First and foremost, hope everyone's well, safe, and healthy as we gear toward 2021. And we're going to be talking a lot about 2021 and what might be coming down the pipe. So we appreciate you joining us. A quick rundown here of our events this evening. A lot to get to over the next hour or so. Our guest of honor, you see him on this panel here, is none other than CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosie. He's going to speak in just a couple of minutes as far as 2021 and what might be coming down the pipe. And I tell you, for Randy, it might feel like a normal Grey Cup week because every time I turn on the TV, open a newspaper, Randy is front and center, which is good. It means good things are coming. So we'll hear from the commissioner in just a few moments' time. After that, we will have our team president, Rick LeLacheur, and he himself, for the past several weeks and months, been very busy with the rest of the presidents and the board of governors as the teams make sure they're all on the same page in terms of getting back on the field in 2021. So we'll get an organizational update from Rick LeLacheur. You also see head coach Rick Campbell and his entire staff here with us. Rick and the fellas are going to talk a little bit about putting a good team on the field because, as we all know, the goal this time next year is to be in Hamilton for the Grey Cup, as it is Grey Cup Unite Week. Lots of great celebrations going on, and shameless plug time if you haven't already. Head to bclions.com, all of our social media channels, lots of great Grey Cup content coming up throughout this week, including a chat with some members of the 2000 winners. Yes, hard to believe it's almost 20 years since that historic win, the first team with a sub 500 record to win it all. So more info on that again at bclions.com. We thank those fans who have submitted questions. The night will wrap up with the Q&A portion of the town hall, and if you have a question and you're watching live, feel free to submit those, and we will do our best to get as many as possible in that time frame. So thanks to everyone for joining. I tell you, talking football like this tonight gets us all excited for a bigger and better return. And without further ado, we're going to welcome in our first speaker tonight. He is the Canadian Football League's commissioner, Mr. Randy Ambrosie. Randy.
Great, Matt. Thank you very much, and good evening to all of you. It's nice to be with you. To be honest, I wish I was there with you in person, as we have done in the past. I think, Rick, if memory serves, we've done 3 Randy's roadshows in BC, as I have done across the country. And in fact, the last Randy's Roadshow in 2020 was in fact with all of you. And then, of course, the COVID crisis struck in early March and set us down a very different path than what we were talking about that night when we were, really excited about a 2020 football season. I would want to say to all of you, I hope tonight's message, meets all of you, in good health and safely tucked away out of harm's way. I said yesterday when I did the fans State of the CFL that I felt the day started on with a good omen, because the first thing I saw when I turned on the news in the morning was the announcement that there was a second vaccine with tremendous efficacy that had been announced, and that has potentially come to market in December. And it felt to me like that was the news that we needed to launch Grey Cup Unite Week. That the idea that perhaps there is now light at the end of the tunnel. That all these great scientists and doctors that got way better grades than I did at university, have found their way to a vaccine that will ultimately allow us to get back to a more normal existence after after this event. I want to tonight spend a few minutes talking about David Braley, because frankly, no conversation about this league can happen without a tribute to what David has meant to all of us. And as you know, he passed away a few weeks ago. And anyone who had a chance to get to know David would say that he was a special guy, and the legacy that he created, the impact that he had on our league. I believe it would be safe to say that there would not be a CFL if it wasn't for David over these past many years. He contributed to the league in so many different ways, of course, famously owning two teams at once, and as was David's way. But I know this, I visited with David a lot at his home in Burlington, and I never got to the house without David greeting me with his Lions paraphernalia on. He truly loved the Lions. He loved everything about the Canadian Football League, and he'll be missed. I'm happy to say that one of the things that David talked to both Rick and I about, before he passed, was his desire to see the BC Lions, continue. He wanted to see them prosper. David had a plan for the Lions. His most important short-term priority was to see this team get back on the field in 2021. And Rick and I are working, with those that are managing his estate to make sure that we honor David's wishes. And it's exciting to work with Rick on that project, because both Rick and I know it's what David wanted, and that's great. I'd also like to say a big thanks to Coach Campbell and his entire coaching staff. I know this has been a very hard year for all of you. It's so weird to think about going back to March, when the COVID virus struck. We would have, I think, properly thought that this thing might, 2-3 weeks, and then, we'll get back to normal. And here we are in November, and we're still, stuck underneath the cloud that is the COVID virus. And I appreciate, you standing all with us through this time. I'd also like to say that I think it's important to acknowledge how tough this has been on our players. Players, as this group of coaches know, have relatively short careers, and to lose a season is very difficult. And of course, many of these players have young families, and very difficult when you're counting on playing a football season to have that season taken away. And we're going to work like heck to get back on the field in 2021. I'm going to spend a couple minutes talking about that in particular, because I think tonight that's probably the most dominant theme is, how do we get back after the disappointment of missing the 2020 football season? And what I'll tell you is that we have put this time to very good use. Rick, along with his colleagues, the other 8 presidents, have been working very hard on what I would call a reset. And it started with just looking at the entire way that the league operated. And we basically pulled apart all of our operations, and we were looking for ways to be more efficient and more effective, make sure that, we were getting as much horsepower out of our business as we possibly could. And we know that we have found significant cost savings as a result of that effort. That's going to help to set this league on a much better footing. So that's one project that I think has yielded tremendous outcomes. We're working on a revenue model, really looking at how do we make sure that we're providing support to all of our teams, appropriate support, so that teams aren't left orphaned, and that they're supported by their partners. We know, and all the teams know, that as that old expression goes, the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And we're working hard to make sure that we can support all of our teams to make sure that we have 9 strong teams, and we have great plans to have a 10th team in Halifax before too long. But all of them need to be set on a foundation for long-term success. So that's been another, really important project. The number one thing we've worked on is how do we get back in 2021? And I would confess to all of you that it's very difficult to plan when you have more unknowns than you do knowns. Very difficult to have a specific return to play strategy when you're looking at this sea of questions without any real sense of what the what path this COVID virus would take. But I believe that the last 3 weeks have been critically important, not just for football, not just for the CFL, but really important for all of us, for all Canadians, for everyone living on this great planet that we all share. Because I do think that these two vaccines that are now looking to come to the market, it is the beginning of getting this virus under control. And as I said yesterday, it was a tremendously positive omen, in my view, to be launching Grey Cup Unite with that. So the plan now is that in the days ahead, we're going to have our presidents in the 6 provinces that we play football. We're going to have them approach their chief medical officers, asking them for for their insights in how they think the COVID I guess crisis will play out, and how it will intersect with the vaccine. What we really are going to try to understand is a timeline. So when do they think we should be able to start planning to get back on the field? And I believe there is reason to be optimistic that we can get all 6 chief medical officers aligned with a similar view of when we'll get when we'll be able to open training camps and start playing. That's step number 1. And once we have the beginning of that, let's call that the foundation of an idea of when we can start training camps, we're going to start building a very specific plan. Now, up to this point, we have had a tremendous number of scenarios we're looking at. But somebody said, I think with quite a bit of insight, when you're planning for everything, you're planning for nothing. I believe in the days ahead, we're going to start making a very specific return to play plan. And that's going to allow us to sit down. Once we start, that'll allow us to sit down with all of our partners, including the Players Association, including TSN, to really make sure we're building a plan that is scalable, which is to say that we'll be able to play earlier if possible, and we'll move it back if necessary. We're also going to look at, in consultation with healthcare experts, to start planning for a certain percentage of our stadiums that they think we will be able to safely fill with fans. That'll be the baseline for our model. And again, it's going to give us a chance to really get to work on a specific strategy for returning to play. Look, in the end, I think this last 3 weeks with the two vaccines are going to finally allow us to really build a strategy on getting back to playing in 2021. We have every single team is excited about playing, but we all know it's impossible to ask everyone to make a steadfast commitment to anything that might come our way. But as I said, I feel today, on the strength of some of the news we've seen, that now we can finally start planning around a real scenario, a real action plan that we can get excited about and make sure we can get back to football in 21. Later this week, I'm happy to say we're going to roll out our 2021 schedule. I'm very excited about that. It was critical to do it, mostly because we think for our fans, for all of you who are with us tonight, we want you to know how excited we are about playing football in 21. We're going to put that schedule. We may make an adjustment or two to that schedule with the knowledge we'll gain from working with health officials. But I think it's a great starting spot, and we're going to ask all of you to put those dates in the calendar, set those dates aside, and get ready to come out and watch exciting BC Lions football and exciting CFL football, in the coming year. So, look, it's been a long year. There's been more than enough reasons to find frustration. I suspect if all of you are anything like my family, we will be reasonably happy to say goodbye to 2020, and we will welcome 2021. I think this New Year's Eve will give rise to a tremendous celebration, putting that year in the rearview mirror and looking forward to bigger and better things to come. And I'll wrap up by just saying how proud I am. I'm certainly proud to work with Rick as a colleague and as a partner. I'm really excited about the coaching staff that Coach Campbell has put together, all of these amazing men with a great track record that they have, the BC Lions organization and their willingness to roll up their sleeves. Look, we see great things on the horizon for BC Lions. That was the conversation I had with David, and Rick and I've had with David going back for the past 3.5 years that I've been in this role. David really believed the Lions can be one of the most successful franchises, if not the most successful franchise in the CFL. And I think Rick and I shared David's passion for the Lions and all that is possible in that great community that you all have, that you're all part of. And I'm excited to look forward to working with all of you. I look forward to getting back into a stadium in the new year, to enjoying CFL football, maybe having a cold beer and a hot dog along the way. But it'll certainly be nice to get out of this virtual world and into the real world of football that we all love so much. So, Matt, I'll close my comments off there. Again, a big thank you to all of you. It is nice to have a chance to talk to you tonight. And Matt, I think you might open it up to a question or two, and I'm happy to respond.
Yeah, very well said, Commissioner, and awesome. Yeah, dropping news. We're going to have a schedule this week, so encourage our fans to stay tuned for that. Can start planning our spring and summer, and hopefully beyond that. So very well. Yeah, Randy, we weren't going to let you off the hook without one question right now. Of course, you're welcome to stay on till the end of this if you like. I know it's getting late back there in Southern Ontario, but Glenn Sinclair from Penticton, season ticket holder. Shout out to all of our Lions fans in the Okanagan, beautiful part of this great province. He wants to know, Randy, given that the NFL is back on the front page, why did the CFL not look to at least have a shortened season experimenting with that format, either no fans or limited fans? I know there was talk of a shortened season in 2020 and a hub, but Glenn wants to know, well, why didn't you consider that avenue, possibly playing in home stadiums without fans this year?
Yeah, Glenn, the answer is that we tried and we explored everything. The honest truth is these Rick, along with his colleagues and all of us working together, I mean, we looked at every imaginable scenario. Look, the one big difference between ourselves and the NFL is the size of their TV broadcast contracts. The NFL simply has a quantum of TV broadcast revenue that we can't compete with, and without some ticket revenue, it would have been very difficult to operate in the normal in stadium scenarios using and having to travel around the country. And of course, then there was the whole issue of, could you do that safely? You know, some of the sports that have done have been playing. I think, again, it's important to note, hockey and basketball were well into their seasons. They didn't have to contend with the reality that Coach Campbell and all of these gentlemen would have had to bring 100 players to a training camp. That's a lot of people to move in, and under a healthcare crisis, and then just moving the size of a football team around into these markets to play would have been, again, another challenge. You all know we looked at a hub scenario, but even that had for us financial challenges, healthcare challenges, and other issues that we simply felt in the end that we were better to cancel, regroup, and then start planning for 21. I know I speak for everyone tonight when I say we were all disappointed. We would have loved to have played, but if we're going to turn lemons into lemonade, we'll take the disappointment of what happened this year. We'll reset our business model. We'll be bigger and stronger for it. And then we'll get back on the field in 2021. And hopefully before too long, we'll look at this as a distant memory. But I appreciate the question. And I hope you all know with great humility that I was disappointed that we didn't find a solution to playing this year. And I know Rick and all of Coach Campbell and all of his coaches would have loved for us to have played. But in the end, we just couldn't make it happen. And for that, again, to all of our great fans and our players, we're sorry we let you down. But now we look forward. Instead of looking back, we look forward to bigger and better things to come.
Well said, Commissioner, and we thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule on this Grey Cup Unite week to speak to us and to our season ticket holders this evening. So we thank you and look forward to doing it in person real soon. Thank you.
I'd like that. Good night, everyone.
Special thanks to CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosie. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our team president, Rick LeLacheur, to say a few words. Rick.
Thanks very much, Matt. Good evening, Lions fans. We're delighted that you could join us this evening for our Grey Cup Unite Town Hall. We, of course, would have preferred flying to Regina today to play in the Grey Cup game this Sunday. The CFL has had a storied history, but 2020 certainly is going to be at the top of the history books. We have also had quite a year at the BC Lions Football Club. As the commissioner said, losing our owner, David Braley, recently greatly saddened all of us. David was an outstanding owner, and he loved the Lions and the CFL. David's wishes were for the Lions to continue for many, many years. And as the commissioner indicated, we're working with the estate to fulfill David's wishes. It's still too early to determine the path of a new owner. However, as we work through this, I can assure you that we're in a full planning mode for the 2021 CFL season, along with the league and the other CFL member clubs. Our players have been hit very hard this year, with none of them receiving not even one game check. Our non-player staff, both in football and business operations, have been greatly affected. We've had to terminate a number, lay off others, and ask all staff continuing with their duties, plus added duties, to take a significant income decrease. Like many around the world, it has been a very difficult year. So I want to extend a big shout out to our team, both players and staff, a very sincere thank you very much. And to our season seat holders and sponsors, they too deserve a huge thank you. You have stuck with us during a very trying year. Our fan services team have reached out to all of our season seat holders to ensure that we are meeting their wishes for their 2021 season seats, and offer the opportunity to each of them to be part of the new Grey Cup fan base program. We thank many of our generous partners who have come on board with us this year in a value-added program for our various digital programs and enabled us to continue our school programs all online. There's also substantial work being done by BC Place and our management group. Our goal when we return to play is to ensure a safe environment for all of our fans, our players, and our staff. There will also be some notable changes next year. For instance, there will be mobile ticketing and security scanners rather than the conventional bag checks and pat-downs. Our ultimate goal is to get back on the field and bring back the Lions' winning tradition. You have no doubt heard the stories about Mike Riley and his contract with the team. As I said when the story first surfaced, throughout my business career, I have never discussed a personnel matter publicly, nor will I now. I will say, however, that in 2019, we signed Mike to a 4-year contract because we believed in him, being not only a winning quarterback, but also an outstanding leader in the locker room and his desire to support our community programs. That belief has not changed. We want Mike as an integral member of the BC Lions Football Club, and we are confident that he will be on the field with us when training camp commences. 2019 was a huge disappointment to us. We did not expect to end up with such a losing record. Since then, we made changes to our coaching staff and added a number of players to our roster. We more than anything wanted to show our fans in 2020 that the actions taken would turn this club around. Unfortunately, we've had to wait a year to show you. I can tell you that despite missing this season, our new head coach, Rick Campbell, and his coaching staff have been busy planning, reviewing, and utilizing this extra time to build an even stronger playbook and team on the field. And what an exciting time to finally tonight be able to talk some football. And we're excited to have Coach Campbell and his coaching staff with us, and certainly look forward to the discussion. So thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody. Back to you.
Thank you, Rick. And yeah, while we have you here, before we hear from Coach Rick and the staff, all this talk about next season and a schedule and what may or may not happen inside BC Place, a question we've sort of been getting a lot here on the business side is, what is the football club doing to work with our season ticket holders in BC Place to ensure they're included in whatever our return to play looks like?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Our event and game day staff have been working directly with BC Place. And as everyone knows, BC Place is a Crown Corporation. They're going to deliver the highest safety protocol at all possible, regardless of how the return to play is. We'll continue to work with them. But one of the things we want to do is of course, operate in a very safe environment within BC Place. But we also want to know how our fans feel about what they want in connection with this, and following our town hall today, where our next step is to send a survey to all our season seat holders to see exactly what their thinking is, what they'd like to see, how they'd like us to go about various things within the stadium. So you can look forward to that in the next near future.
Excellent. And yeah, so our fans, season ticket holders watching, encouraged to keep your eyes out for that survey, as we want you to have a say in the process on what you think should happen in the next few months. He is Rick LeLacheur. He'll still be here, as he'll be around for the formal Q&A, which will get going in just a few minutes' time. But right now, let's talk a little football. Yeah, it's a lot of speculation on when or what it might look like, but these men in front of me here have been working extra hard these last several months to make sure that the best possible team is on the field. You look at the way our roster is right now, it's still very exciting. And to talk more about that and to intro the rest of his staff here, it's my pleasure to turn it over to the 27th head coach in BC Lions history. He is Rick Campbell.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Been a rough year. The only good thing is my mom reminded me last week that the BC Lions haven't lost a game in 2020. So there you go for that. In all seriousness, though, it really has been a rough year. The thing that Randy alluded to and Rick is, I do see, as the calendar keeps flipping by, is that we're going to flip into action. We already have been making these plans, but a few things we need to do very soon is to make sure we're solidified on the coaching staff front, that everybody's set for next year. Also with our football operations department, we're going to do that. And also our players. I've said this from day one, and one of the big reasons I came here was I think there's a really good veteran group of players here that are good players that can win and know how to win and will win. And that's going to be our task coming up soon. As you know how the CFL works in a typical year, once the Grey Cup's over, all of a sudden you flip into that off-season mode where you're dealing with free agency, all those fun things that you talk about football. And we're going to be on top of that as far as being aggressive and trying to hold as many pieces of the puzzle we can together on all those three fronts: the coaches, the football ops, and the players. So we're going to be looking forward to doing that. I know you're going to hear news. I'm not giving you a date, but as these weeks go by and the months go by, you'll get to hear news, and it's the fun type of news, which is about our football team going forward in 2021. So I can't wait. I'm just really looking forward to moving forward and doing that. I do want to take a chance tonight for you guys, for the people out there that have not met our coaching staff. So they do a better job of it than me. So guys, I'll just call your first name out. And if you could give them just a quick rundown of your name, your position, where you're from. You can also throw in a fun fact, which is always good too. So we'll do that. And I'll start off with my name's Rick Campbell. I live in Vancouver. I'm here full time now. I'm a dual citizen of both the USA and Canada is my fun fact. And I'll throw it over to Coach Yano. Tell us what you got there, Coach Yano.
Well, my name's Don Yanowski. I'm the special teams coach, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I've been coaching for almost 4 decades. I know that surprises you. I look pretty young, but my fun fact is, too much laughing going on back there. My fun fact is I like to cook. Obviously, I like to eat. So that's it.
All right, Jordan, what do you got?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jordan Maksimek. I'm the offensive coordinator for the Lions, born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta. Edmonton is still home for me, but definitely looking forward to getting out to the Vancouver area and setting up shop there. I guess my interesting fact is just kind of the path that I've taken to become a coach. Unlike a lot of the people on this call, I didn't play in the league. I didn't play football past high school. I started in the equipment room with the Calgary Stampeders and just kind of worked my way through the ranks there and got into coaching that way. So just a bit of a unique path.
All right, Mr. Bates, local guy, what do you got?
I'm Kelly Bates, offensive line coach. I currently make Vancouver my home. And in fact, my wife and I live in the same neighborhood she grew up in, and our kids up to last year went to the same school, which I love. I love that about being out here. My fun fact is that in this time off from our usual rigors of a football season, I am now my 10-year-old girl's head hockey coach. So I'm a proud Tri-City Predator head hockey coach.
All right. Mr. Tucker down in Texas, what do you got for us?
Well, as you can see, I'm all over the place. Coach the wide receivers. One thing about it, 2020 has been crazy, but the one good thing I have been able to do is run behind all 4 of my daughters, and that's why I'm sitting in my truck now, because I'm at a basketball game that one of them's playing. So that's what I've been doing, and just hoping 2021 is a lot better year and get some football going.
Sounds good. All right, Danny, another local guy, a new local guy to Vancouver.
Yeah, the newest local. How's it going, everyone? Danny O'Brien, offensive assistant from Wilmington, North Carolina. As coach, I've spent my first off season here in Vancouver, which has been nice to kind of get to explore the province. Ended my career playing here last year, so first year as a coach would have been. So I guess, like Rick also said, I'm undefeated as a coach so far through 2020, but definitely looking forward to starting this thing up fresh in 2021 and getting it rolling.
All right, a longtime Lion, Ryan, what do you got for us?
What's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully, we're all weathering the storm that we're going through right now. But Ryan Phillips from Seattle, Washington, been a part of the BC Lions organization since 2005. Vancouver is second home for me, especially just being right down the street. So I've always looked at Vancouver as a second home. Fun fact at this point, because of the situation we're having, online school is the big thing. So I guess I'm taking more pride in being the best online dad that you've ever seen before. So I'll try to be involved in as many Zoom calls as possible, especially with my 8-year-old, because he'll find a way to turn his camera off. I don't know if it's on purpose or not. I haven't caught him yet, but I'm starting to get the hang of it. So I think he's doing it on purpose, so that way he can say the Wi-Fi is messing up. So, but no, that's what I'm taking pride in right now at this point. It's been fun. It's challenging, but at the end of the day, I've been able to get as much family time as possible. So just trying to take advantage of the moment.
All right, Mr. Brown in California, you're up.
Yeah, how's everybody doing tonight? My name's Travis Brown, from Fresno, California. Coaching the linebackers. Fun fact about me is, and the coaches are all already laughing about it, but I love to go out there and fish, and that's how I've been kind of social distancing myself, is getting out on the middle of the lake and getting the pole in the water. So appreciate you guys.
All right, and last on the list for all you longtime CFL fans out there, you'll know this guy, Mr. Blue. How are things in Ontario?
Very good, thanks. Hello, everyone. As Rick said, my name is Leroy Blue. I hail from the island of St. Vincent in the West Indies, moved to Canada when I was 5, played football at Bishop's University, and 10 or 11 years with the Eskimos and 4 with the Argos. So that's a little bit about the background about myself. Fun fact about me is, I like the outdoors. I do a lot of hunting, fishing, and things like that. But I guess the funniest thing is I do sleep with my eyes open. Find that a little bit weird, but that's just the way it is. Thank you.
The weirdest thing about that comment is it's true. So watch out. Anyway, these I didn't miss anybody, right? We're good. So I like these guys. They're good football coaches, and they're also good people. And I think that's part about being a good football team is having talented people and combining that with some good character people on the player and coach front. So we're looking forward to getting out there when we get the opportunity. And with that, Matt, do you want to flip into question mode?
Yes, excellent work, guys. Yeah, sleeping with one eye open, Leroy. The Metallica lyrics come into my head every time I hear you say that. So might have to rock out to some Enter Sandman later tonight.
I have to record it and show you.
Anyway, that's great fun facts all around. Yeah, we're gonna get into the formal Q&A now. Mostly focus on football, but start off with one quick one. Rick LeLacheur, just kind of an extension on the BC Place talk we were doing a few minutes ago. We've had quite a few questions as well about season ticket holder priority for fans who maybe can't come to games because of health concerns. What kind of update can you provide there at this point?
Well, we're looking at a number of things. And as Randy said, we have been, I think I've done more spreadsheets on what ifs in my entire life in the last few months. But we're looking at all of the different options and once we know if we're going to be playing straight through with the full stadium or partial stadium, we'll address those. To clearly, our season seat holders are our most valuable customers, and they're going to get first priority on anything we do in stadium.
And quick follow-up, we had a season ticket holder ask about the issue of player contracts. Would those carry over if a player was under contract for 2020? What would happen there?
Well, there's various it's not even various lengths of contracts. There can be 1, 2, 3, 4. The first year players sign a 3-year contract, but a number of our players, especially a few of the free agents we signed last February, are on 1-year contracts, and they'll be free agents again this February. So as Coach Campbell said, we're in the midst right now of really analyzing where we're at as a football team, and we've got a full roster, of course, from 2020 that we didn't execute, but we'll be looking at other additions, deletions in the next few months and be ready for free agent and new player signings.
Very well said. I, for one, very looking forward to seeing how the draft order shakes out. A random draw snake draft. I believe that's going to be part of TSN's coverage this Saturday. So stay tuned there. All right, we're going to get more into the football questions now, and we'll get to as many of these as we can in the next half hour or so. We understand everyone wants to have their say, and we'll do our best to accommodate as many people as we can. First up here, as far as the football portion goes, longtime fan Glenn. I look forward to chatting with him in the stands in Kamloops at training camp. He always makes the trip up and has his various opinions on the roster and the depth chart, so it's always fun talking to Glenn. This is for Rick Campbell and Travis Brown. Invite you to weigh in here as well. Glenn wants to know, would there be some thought, talking about signing players, would there be some thought to bringing back a couple players in Chris Edwards and Kenny Ladler, two guys who were released for opportunities in the NFL? But overall, we can also get you two to comment on the linebackers we have on the roster. Rick, start with you.
Well, one, I didn't get to go to Kamloops this year, but I don't know about that 120-kilometer speed limit going over the Coquihalla. Seems a little fast to me. I was like, I don't know if I want to be on that team bus going that fast, but we'll see how that goes. We're going to keep options open. We definitely we signed guys like Ladler. Edwards is a really good player. We have some really good options of guys that we already have, and then we're going to have to be flexible with free agency too. We've drafted a linebacker, so we're going to be flexible with it. Like I said, we do have a core group of guys that have been around, which is good between the linebackers and the DBs. But without getting too specifics into names, the theme for us would be we want to retain as many guys, as we can do it, and then be open to sprinkling a new guy in. So.
Yeah, Travis, you've watched a lot of film on players this past year without any practices or games to go by. What can you say about our linebacking group?
Talented, a great group of guys, and it's been fun getting to know them a little bit more throughout this off season, technically. But it's a physical group, and there's still a lot of room to improve there too. They not improve, but they have a lot of potential, so it's a great place to be, in BC as a linebacker right now. And I'm excited to be in that room as well, and we just got to see how this offseason plays out, because I would like to be able to keep every one of them, but we'll see how the free agency goes and all that. But I agree with Coach 100%.
And by the way, for a lot of our fans who are CFL historians, Travis, your father had a long and decorated coaching career, and I believe he had a stint in Birmingham in the CFL. Was that correct?
Yep, the Birmingham Barracudas.
There you go. Love that logo and colors too. So say what you want, the American expansion teams, but so there you go. There's some Travis Brown trivia for you on this BC Lions town hall. Troy in Abbotsford wants to know, as we know, for Coach Rick, and then we'll invite Kelly Bates or Ryan Phillips to weigh in as well. Ryan, if he's still with us here. Yeah, RP's still there. Coach Rick, coming off such a rough year and a long break, what needs to be changed in order to make 2021 a successful one? That's for Rick Campbell.
Well, I'll say this is the new guy, because those guys know a little bit more from me because they lived it some more. But I will say this, and I think it's key of any football team, is one, I have a great respect for what's happened in the past, but I don't live in the past. And it's all about going forward. It really is. There's too many. I stood on the other sideline playing against BC in 2019, and I saw it as lost a couple of tough games early in the season that you win those, and all of a sudden momentum swings and all that stuff. So you're not dealing with bad football players. I think it was a really good core group, and we wanted to target of just adding a few more pieces of the puzzle. So I think the two keys is to move forward, and also I'm just a big believer in having some type of continuity. And even though Even though we didn't play this year, there's a group of guys that understand what it's like to be a BC Lion, and the coaches as well. And I think that's invaluable. So I'll let Kelly and Ryan speak a little more to that.
We've got an O-line question for Kelly in a bit too. So even Ryan can just take this one and we could get to as many as we can.
Yeah, that's fine. I think when it comes to the past, you got to just take your experiences and you take the experience of it and then you build towards the future. You can't hold on to it. You can't beat a dead horse. We knew what, 2019 had and what came out of it. But at the end of the day, it's what can you take from it to build towards the future? That's all that matters right now at this point. How can you go ahead and now build upon the positives that you did have, whether that's through players, whether that's through coaching staff, whether that's through scheme or anything like that. You find out what works and then you build upon that and then you bring in the new. So then that way now you can build upon those things as well. Now have it all come together. So that way you can build and, just work towards wins. And that's all that we're looking at right now is just try to find ways to win ball games, win those close games that we did lose last year. Try to make a better play or maybe, a better call or whatever the case may be. That way we're more prepared for the occasion. And then that way we could be on the winning side of things. So, 2019 had its experiences, but at this point right now, we're just building from those and just try to make sure we put guys in position to make plays and put guys in position to be successful. So that way, as coaches, we look a little bit better on the other end. So then that way, we can continuously move forward and build upon that. So that way, we can keep the ball rolling and keep things in the positive.
Yeah, well said. A couple of those games that went down to the wire, if they go our way, all of a sudden we're in the playoffs. That's just how razor thin it is. And that's why you have to, 57 plus 3, the old CFL adage. The final 3 minutes of each half certainly can turn out different no matter how the start of the game goes. Moving along here, good one here from Paul and Langley. For Jordan, our offensive coordinator, Paul wants to know, he's always interested in play calling and the offensive playbook. When you look at some of the new additions on offense and a couple of our good playmakers at receiver, talking about Brian Burnham, Shaq Johnson, what type of creativity does that allow you in your game plan? And maybe have Jason Tucker after give his thoughts on the receivers as well. But Jordan, what do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tremendous advantage having guys like that. Obviously, Matt, the couple names that you mentioned are elite playmakers in this league, and we have more at the receiver position and more at the running back position. But it gives you so much freedom play calling and designing a game plan because you know that the defense can't take everybody away. So if you have one or two playmakers, the defense can hone in on those guys, and you really have to work hard to get the ball in their hands. But if you've got great playmakers across the board like we do, we can just go out there and run our offense and be confident that whoever has the football in their hands on a given play is going to make a positive gain for us. So not having just one playmaker that the defense can lock down is a huge help and really helps in the game planning process. That's for sure.
Tuck, what do you got to say about your receivers? Some playmakers there.
A lot of them, and I'm glad to be a part of this group. And I always tell everywhere I go, I don't want to do nothing to mess them up. I just want to enhance what they already have. And like Jordan said, it's when you got a plethora of receivers that you can go to, makes it hard on defenses to stop offense, because they can't just key on one guy and say, let's stop him. The offense won't work. Well, when you have 5 or 6 of them, 7 of them, then what are you going to do? So, and like you said, we got running backs that are playmakers as well. So just makes it easier to game plan and, design plays because, any given guy can do great things when they have the ball in their hand.
Well said. Question coming in to the chat from Kent, who's watching. This one will be for Rick Campbell. I suppose we'll have Danny O'Brien weigh in on this as well, as he, I believe, is doing a lot of the quality control stuff. But Rick, Kent wants to know, what is your stance on football analytics, and what role does that play in your guys' decision when it comes to evaluating players, the analytics part of it?
I'm open to it. but I don't live by it all the time. There's some psychology and some emotion and some things that happen during a game where I think you trust gut feel. And I've actually been open. In fact, that I was the head coach of a team where we went for 2 more than the rest of the league combined. So I'm open to the idea of, having those obvious statistics that say you should do something. But I also think there's certain points in the game where you got to trust a gut feel and what the team's feeling as well. So I use it as a tool, but I don't live and die by it.
Danny, how much of that is part of your role in this coaching staff?
A little bit. I think one kind of silver lining of not playing this year, honestly, has been the opportunity for us as an offense to kind of go through mock game plans and go through, a lot of different data points and how we would game plan for it. I'm new to the coaching world, but I will say that just in this off season, you can use it for things like finding trends and translate that into information in terms of whether it's a game plan or certain looks you're going to get when certain people are in the game. I think there's a huge place for it in the game planning process. But then, like Coach said, the game itself, there's a lot more in the heat of the moment that goes into it. But it's been really good for me, setting up the offensive system that Jordan's putting into place, kind of using that to shape, what we do. And we're going to, hopefully have a good little off season here to get really good at those things. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good stuff.
Excellent. Rick LeLacheur, I had one come in here. I don't have the name in front of me. It's from Mike. Apologies. Mike wants to know, we are prime season ticket holders, and we are wondering how much the team has been able to survive without the influx of cash from season ticket sales saved for the season ticket holders.
Thanks, Mike. It's a combination of things. I think we're very appreciative of our season seat base, who by far in the majority have said to us, move our deposits or our payments to the 2021 season. We've also, I think, George Chaika and his business group have been able to really work with our partners. We have some very, very committed partners who have supported us through these times. And as I said earlier, have helped us with digital and our community relations with the schools in particular, which allowed us to do our programs. And of course, we've utilized the government subsidy program like so many businesses. And it's a combination that we've worked at, and as we've of course had to control our costs somewhat, but overall I think the whole team has pulled together to make sure that we're still in business going forward. And by far it was also with the commitment from David Braley that we're going to get through this and we're going to play again.
Nicely done. Moving along back to football, here's one specific to the line of scrimmage, always key, you always hear about it. So Kelly Bates, Leroy Blue, know a thing or two about offensive and defensive line. Vern from Campbell River pre-submitted this one, and his concern was how does the team get back to winning as far as having a better offensive line and defensive line? What are you guys looking to preach as we look to get back into the win column? Kelly, start with you.
Well, I think when you're building an offensive line, it starts in the offseason. And, it starts with first and foremost self-evaluation from each and every one of those players, looking at themselves and what they feel they did well, or what they feel they need to improve on, and then putting a plan in place to build them throughout the offseason. I think what we saw here before the pandemic came was so promising. We had such a large group of offensive linemen that, chose to make Vancouver their home this offseason and, started to work together. And when I understand that football is a team sport, and we always talk about that and how it's the greatest team sport. And I'm probably biased, but the offensive line, the more time they can spend together, the more time they can gel, the more time they get to know the ins and outs of each other, the better chance of cohesion and success. And it really starts in the off season, and those guys have taken tremendous steps in moving forward to, bringing this line to the level that they can play at.
Leroy, some good additions before 2020, Micah Johnson, J.R. Tavai, Chris Kasher. What's the makeup of our D-line going to be?
Hey, I'm excited about these guys. As a D-line coach, and you want guys that can play fast. So that doesn't just mean run fast. It's about, being in a good stance, taking good positive first steps, being able to play the, rush the passer and be, strong and technical versus the run. So haven't got a chance to coach these guys other than Tavai and Newsome, but I'm really looking forward to what we have, because I think these guys are dynamic guys. I think we can do a whole lot with these guys. I think they can drop. I think we can play multiple fronts. So as Tuck said, I just, want to make sure the technique and the detail is there, have them, really get them to buy into one another. And when we're on the field, we're working. And like I said, as Tuck said, I don't want to mess that up, because we have some very educated guys, some skilled players, and we're going to go play fast.
Don Yanowski, we do have a fan question we'll get to in just a sec, but I had one for you. You mentioned it at the start, 4 decades equals 40 years. Good job, Matt, of coaching multiple programs down south. I think you were with Coach Campbell in Ottawa. You've been with him in Calgary too. What keeps you going after all these years?
Oh boy. I mean, it's who I am. I mean, and what are you if you're a coach? You're a teacher. And I'm very passionate about that and about this game. And I've had opportunities and have gone away from it a couple times in the last 40 years. And common sense brought me back that it's who I am. But I think this game, I mean, it's the greatest thing going, because it's a team game. The best players don't win, the best teams do. And I live by that and believe that. And just every day I'm passionate about what I do.
And in the meantime, Rick watching this wants to know any exciting players you can talk about as far as special teams goes for next year. I mean, that Chris Rainey guy, still pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who we're going to have on the roster and who we're not, but what I saw on film was not only the kicker. I mean, some of the skilled players in that vein. Chris Rainey assures me he still has something left in his tank. But important to me is, as a special teams coach, other than the head coach, you get to coach everybody. You get to coach the whole roster. And when you find guys that are explosive and like to run into stuff fast, you got a pretty good chance to be a good special teams coach. And it lets those players that touch the ball and kick the ball and do things with the football become productive, because it takes everybody buying in to run into people fast in that phase of the game.
And for the record, Yano, you do look great for your age, okay?
Oh yeah, you got to throw that for the age in there.
We got to have some fun tonight.
I'm just kidding.
Had another one come in from a season ticket holder, and I don't have the name in front of me here. Coach Campbell, is there a couple of young players on the roster that may be flying under the radar right now that some of our fans can get excited about? I know we still have the 2021 draft, but our 2020 class, a couple of intriguing guys there. What can you say about our youth?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I was particularly excited in the draft of we got a whole good group of guys, and Jordan, the linebacker, I knew briefly from Ottawa. That's kind of a long story, but a new guy to this league that can really do some good things. I'm really excited about Nathan Rourke, the quarterback. So to get him, and all the way through our draft this year, we really made a point of making sure we were big and athletic. Obviously, they had to be good football players too, but that feeds into the Yano thing too, of especially with some younger guys, is you need some younger guys that that can come in and cover kicks and do all those things. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And I mentioned the draft earlier, and you're involved a lot more now in player personnel and putting the final pieces on this roster together. You know, this reverse order, but if you pick ninth, you pick first. Where do you stand on that? That kind of throws a couple of wrenches into it.
Well, it's 2020, Matt. So it's no, it'll be fine. It's actually going to make it interesting. So it's just you know, it's a random, you know, how they get through 1 through 9. Then, like you said, it's a snake. So if you draft 9th, you get the 10th pick as well, and then you go from there. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be we have our personnel groups work on it, and Rob Ralph heads that of our Canadian draft. We have a lot of people working on it, but he's been doing a lot of homework on that, and it's going to be big this year because a lot of these guys aren't going to have any game film. And so you're really going to have to rely on past game film and making sure they're in shape and ready to go and all that. So it's going to be interesting. I think that draft thing, if I remember correctly, it's Saturday evening, and it's at 8:30, I would assume, Eastern time. I don't think they would do it Pacific time then. So that's what I remember on the email I got. But they are going to announce it on TSN. And those are the type of things I'm looking forward to. Like you said, is just like doing this tonight of talking football as opposed to the other stuff. So, you know, looking forward to finding out where we're going to draft in 2021, and we'll be ready to do it.
Got a real important one for you, Coach Rick, that just came in. His name's Mike. He's watching down in Seattle. He wants to know, are you jealous of any of your players' beard growing ability? Really?
It's weird. I know there's one guy in Seattle named Mike that actually lives in my sister's neighborhood. So that might be the Mike you're talking about. I'm just guessing. So
he likes to wear hats too.
What's that?
He likes to wear hats too. I think we're talking about the same Mike.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll see. I might grow it out. We'll see how it goes. Get the playoff beard going, things like that. So, Mike can be on the lookout for an SUV. My sister drives an SUV, and I know she's already put a BC Lions sticker on the back of it. So, as he's cruising around Queen Anne in Seattle, you might see a BC Lions sticker floating around.
There you go. Good to know that Mike is watching. He's always watching, and hey, all the more reason to get.
You should tell Mike too that Coach Yano really likes you know, quarterbacks to cover kickoffs. So if he wants to get geared up for that, be ready to go.
Well said. Shout out to Mike down there.
I'm just kidding, fans. It's not real. Okay.
Good times. Hey, this has been great. A lot of great submissions, even from Mike in Seattle. Yes, we had to work that in. Good job, Michael. Rick LeLacheur, anything you want to say to close thing out tonight?
No, I just certainly the lifeblood of the NACFL team, and certainly the Lions as our season seed holders. And we can't do it without them. So the support we've received for this year with what we've been through has been fantastic. Our partners have been great. As I said, George and his team have done a great job, but we have some very passionate sponsors, and they've been with us through these trying times. So let's, as Rick says, let's just put everything behind us and let's look like driving a vehicle and look through that going forward. And hopefully by the time we're at training camp, things will be a lot safer. And in the meantime, let's all of us do our part to make sure that we do to lower this curve, and make sure you do social distance and wear a mask and do all the right things that are required from the health professionals. And if we do that all together, we'll get through this quicker than longer. So thanks very much for Matt. Thank you for hosting this, and to our coaches, thanks very much for participating.
Well said. Yes, on behalf of Randy Ambrosie as well, kicking things off tonight, and hopefully this is a good omen. Excited to be talking football. All these Grey Cup memories are great, but look forward to getting back on the field and striving toward Hamilton in November of 2021. Thanks to all of our fans for watching, and thanks to Rick LeLacheur, Rick Campbell, and the entire staff. Again, bclions.com, our Truly Den virtual Facebook page, Saturday, 2000 Grey Cup reunion. Damon Allen, Jamie Terrace, Sean Millington, Robert Drummond, David Benefield, Carl Kidd. That's going to be fun. And stay tuned to bclions.com for all of our Grey Cup content. This has been the BC Lions Town Hall. Good night, everybody.